Once upon a time, in a valley where the mornings were quiet and the evenings carried long thoughts, there lived a fox named Zyron. Zyron was not an ordinary fox. He was quick in body, but even quicker in mind, and he believed that his intelligence could open every door in the world. He watched birds carefully, counted steps without moving, and imagined himself reaching heights that others only dreamed about. Yet inside his clever heart, there lived a storm of desire that often spoke louder than patience. One golden afternoon, as the sun painted the sky with warm light, Zyron walked through an old garden that had been forgotten by time. The walls were broken, the ground was dry, but one thing was alive with beauty. High above him, hanging from a strong vine, were grapes that shined like small suns. They looked sweet, fresh, and full of promise. Zyron stopped, his breath slowing, his eyes fixed. In that moment, the world became silent, and only his desire spoke. "These grapes are meant for me," Zyron whispered to himself. He felt a rush of confidence, the kind that comes before action. He jumped once, twice, 3 times, but the grapes stayed far away. Each jump was strong, yet not strong enough. Zyron landed back on the ground, dust rising around him, his heart beating faster now with frustration. Still, he did not stop. He stepped back, took a deeper breath, and jumped again, higher this time, but the grapes remained untouched, calm and distant. As minutes passed, Zyron felt something new enter his mind. It was not tiredness, but shame. The garden felt larger now, and the silence heavier. He looked around, afraid that someone might be watching him fail. His thoughts began to change. Instead of asking how to reach the grapes, he started asking why he wanted them so badly. The desire that once inspired him now burned him. In a soft but sharp voice, Zyron said, "These grapes are sour anyway." He said it louder the second time, as if trying to convince the air. "They are not worth my effort." With those words, he turned away, lifting his head high, pretending that his choice was wise and proud. But as he walked, something inside him felt smaller, not bigger. Zyron returned to his den that night, but sleep did not come easily. His mind replayed the moment again and again. He saw the grapes shining. He saw his jumps. He heard his own voice calling them sour. For the first time, Zyron noticed the gap between what he said and what he felt. His words were strong, but his heart was weak. He had not lost the grapes. He had lost honesty with himself. Days later, Zyron met an old tortoise named Ilorin near the river. Ilorin moved slowly, but his eyes were deep and calm. They talked about small things at first, about water and weather, until Zyron suddenly spoke without planning to. He told Ilorin about the grapes. He laughed while telling the story, but his laugh broke in the middle. Ilorin listened quietly. When Zyron finished, the tortoise said in a gentle voice, "When we cannot reach something, we often change its value to protect our pride. But pride that hides truth becomes a cage." Zyron felt those words sink into him like stones into water. He realized calling the grapes sour was easier than admitting he needed to grow. That night, Zyron made a choice that surprised even himself. He returned to the garden, not to jump, but to observe. He watched how the vine was supported by the wall. He noticed the path of the sun and the strength of the branches. For the first time, he did not rush. He did not insult the grapes. He accepted the distance between them and him. Days turned into weeks. Zyron practiced small walls. He trained his legs not just for height, but for balance. Sometimes he failed. Sometimes he felt the old voice inside him whisper, "It's not worth it." But now, Zyron answered that voice with calm. He said, "Maybe it is worth it, and maybe I am not ready yet." This new answer did not hurt, it healed. One morning, when the air was cool and the light was kind, Zyron returned to the garden again. This time, his movements were careful, his mind focused. He climbed the broken wall, held the strong vine, and slowly, with patience and control, he reached the grapes. They were real. They were sweet, but what surprised Zyron most was that the taste was not the greatest reward. The real reward was the peace in his chest. As he sat there, grapes beside him, Zyron understood something important. The grapes were never sour. His emotions had been. His fear of failure had turned into excuses. His intelligence had turned into defense. But when he learned self-control, when he allowed himself to feel disappointment without lying to himself, everything changed. Zyron did not become proud after that day. He became aware. He learned that emotional intelligence is not about winning every time, but about understanding why we want, why we fail, and how we speak to ourselves in those moments. He learned that it is easy to reject what we cannot reach, but it is powerful to admit that we are still growing. From that day on, whenever Zyron saw something beyond his reach, he smiled softly. He no longer called dreams sour just because they were far away. He asked himself what steps he needed to take and whether he was willing to take them with patience. The valley noticed the change. Zyron walked slower, listened more, and judged less. And so the story of Zyron spread, not as a tale about grapes, but as a mirror for the heart. It reminded everyone who heard it that excuses are quick, but growth is slow, and only those who respect their own emotions can truly move forward. The grapes were never sour. They were waiting.